Organic listings are the oldest form of search engine results, if you will. Originally, they were called the algorithmic search results, and in some circles still are. Those organic results are really where the search engine optimization piece comes into play. And by that I mean those results can be coming from anywhere. Hopefully, our advertisers are able to effect enough control in that section that they can have those searches like Ford dealership in Cincinnati show up in those general search results because they, according to Google, are the most relevant source of information for that search. So, we're going to explore a little bit deeper on those tactics and some of the art and science that goes into determining from how do you affect that, how do you optimize that, and how do you track performance there, and ultimately determine the golden target of return on investment. First of all, search engine optimization. While I won't spend too much time on statistics and some of these other bullet points as we breeze through this, I do want to cover at least a few high-level ideas and concepts here about search engine optimization. Search engine optimization is very science, very structure-based, and it has a lot to do with the behind-the-scenes piece of a website. So, we have to make a few assumptions as we think of other advertising companies or marketing service firms, web design firms that exist out there, that hopefully, as we encounter clients that might already have a website or some level of web presence, we're hoping that those other vendors that they have worked with have met at least some basic industry standards. It's a very highly detailed form of marketing and form of coding and a form of web development that I won't even get into today. But let's at least assume here in these few minutes that we're talking that those minimum standards have been met. The keyword tagging, the meta descriptions, the title tags as it relates to certain pages within the website. All of that stuff that lives behind the scenes, not so much apparent to our eyes as searchers or as our consumers come to these websites. And guess what? That's where the search engines are going. The back end, the code. That is how they measure, index, and ultimately list search results based on those pieces that exist behind the scenes. But a few things that we can talk in general to our advertisers, again assuming that those bare essentials or those industry standards are at least met at the lowest level, are a few best practices that I'd like to focus on. Primarily, the big thing out there with the new media industry that they've been saying actually for a few years now, and some of the purists have been saying for a lot longer than that, is that it is all about the relevancy and the content, the real content that exists within that website or within that specific piece of web presence. And what is content? Well, it's anything. It's website copy, it's photos, it's video, it's plugins that are coming from social channels or from a blog or a news feed. So content, and even further relevant content, has become so much more important, rather, that Google, in fact, in the last several months ago, completely changed how their algorithms even access and ultimately grade that information that exists on those websites. So let's talk about content. Content is king, right? So again, assuming that those bare minimums have been met from a web design standpoint, here's a few other things that we can talk even at a general level with our clients about. Along with the clear, easy navigation, easy to read, easy to access information that is provided on a website without it being too cluttered or too busy, is some of the simple things like fresh content, rich sources should be displaying that content. By that I mean embedded video or photo or imagery. Again, clean, not overly busy. Social media plugins that might exist there. Something on the right-hand panel that might be an excerpt or a preview of the most recent blog post and how that's fed into the website. Okay? Also highly important, and we've been saying this for years, the industry has been telling this for several years now, is again, clear navigation. Are you giving them every opportunity in that very short period of time you have to get their attention? Are you allowing them to find the information they're looking for? People are coming to websites for the most part, for a very specific reason. They are trying to find some very specific type of information. Even if they're coming to browse the website, there's some level of research that they're doing either early on their decision-making process or further down that road before a purchase or a transaction. Lastly, what's in it for them? What's in it for the person coming to the website? Address those things. Have credibility without overselling them on your website. And by that I mean things like, how many years experience do you have? What type of value or guarantee do you give to your work? Do you offer some, if this is services related, do you offer emergency or 24-hour service? This isn't so much tied down to a dollar percent or a dollar value. On the other hand, other unique selling propositions like 20% off new customers, some of these things that might be more promotional in nature, seasonally speaking, include those as well. You want to influence the actions once those searchers come to your website. Analytics and goals. It's important that our advertisers, or on behalf of our advertisers, as we try to show return on investment or benchmarks of success, key performance indicators, these types of measurement that we go through, it's important that we have analytics and data and metrics that back that up. So, one of the simplest things you can ask your clients is, whether you're responsible or not, do you know if Google Web Analytics exists on your website? This is an absolute best practice as it pertains to any advertising or website that exists out there. Some form of analytics that it can be tied to. Now there's many others that are specialized that might even track and report on other data that Google Web Analytics doesn't. But Google Web Analytics is a standard and it's free, best of all. And it's very quick to generate the code to then have them have their web person or their web company, or us if that's us, to have that displayed and published on the back side so that Google can then start tracking activity. And I'll tell you, Google tracks a lot of that activity. And it's fairly intuitive. So even those marketers that may not be those people that are deep into the details of very specific actions and some of those web steps that can take place there for searchers. But marketers can get some incredible insight on where is my traffic coming from? What type of raw search terms are they using to get to me? Is there an affiliate website that happens to be funneling a lot of referral traffic to me as well? Also, other critical things like, are they staying on the website very long? Once they're there, what pages are they accessing? Guess what? All of those things actually do play into your search rankings. So if you aren't seeing yourself, or if our clients aren't finding themselves, or they just can't break onto that first page, this is a great way for them to find out insights as to why. Now, claiming channels that exist out there. We've talked about content now being key and being the gold that Google, Yahoo, or Bing, or any of the search engines are mining for when they try to produce those results so they appear most relevant to those people using them to search. But as they go through this, there was, over the last several years, a lot of backlinking strategy, link fraud, link farms, you name it. There was a lot of ways that was being manipulated. Now, there is still some of that backlinking strategy that's important. We talked about some of the social media plugins. Those are big. Those are sources of very rich levels of content. The same thing with some of the directory listings that's still out there. And there's a lot of them. In fact, we've narrowed down almost 130 top review sites and directory sites that we feel we use to measure reputation and some of these other things for our clients. But there are a few. First and foremost, Google Places. Guess what? This ties directly into those Maps listings. Google Plus Places. It might be different by the time you're watching this video, depending on what Google wants to name it that day. In this case, claim the channel. Claim your Google Map listing. Claim listings within Yelp, CityGrid, UrbanSpoon, some of these online directories that exist out there. Typically they're free just to exist. It's kind of the new form of the Yellow Pages, if you will. At least be listed in those different specialty directories. But all those major directories are still considered reputable sources for Google. When they generate a search result, they're not just looking at websites, your websites or advertiser websites. A lot of times they're scouring multiple directory sites in that nanosecond that they do that work to produce results to say, hey, how many other places is this advertiser or is this business found? And are those credible sources? And then even more so, is the content that they're sharing or displaying between those different sources relevant and something that we feel is important for the searcher to find? And we hope that we become smarter and more intelligent as this new media team that exists. And collectively, we work together to affect the type of change, performance, results, and revenue that we want to see. Thank you for your time, and we hope to hear from you soon.